Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Brittany, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about my decisions that I've made with my fountain pen ink swatching journal, which is this beauty right here. And then I'm also going to be going through all of my new pens because recently I was gifted several. I had purchased some, my husband got me some, and rather than try to do a separate video for each one, I'm just going to catch you all up in this one, and then you guessed it, I have more pens on the way. So my TWSBI collection is growing. As you can see here, I have 4 that I'm going to talk about today, and then I have some gifts and some experiment pens, and I'm just going to get in here. So previously in other pen talk videos for 2025, I had mentioned about how when I started this ink swatching book, I wanted to potentially come on here and do a page for each video to go through all of my fountain pen inks, because I had them sitting all over the desk. If you remember in previous videos, I had some over on my writing desk, I had some in my little utility cart, and I wanted to get them all organized into one space. So one of my pen pals and I were talking about how we're trying to declutter and to reorganize, and I ended up having all of my inks in one Kate Spade storage box. And then because I had gotten new pens, and then of course I had to get new inks, I had overflow. So then I dedicated another Kate Spade storage box to the remainder and overflow inks. And so it just became too much while I was organizing all of that to try to schedule videos. And then I was going to have to set up the book, and it was just... it was a chore, so I just went ahead and did the book. And so I think where we left off, if memory serves, was with the Sailor Manya Sakura. And so what I did first was I had those 12 little vials that my pen friend had sent to me. So these next couple of inks are going to be from him. Now I don't have the names for some of them, the brands of the inks, but I have the colors. So I'll go through those. And then the other thing that I decided to do is for each of the inks that I swatched, that I have a pen filled with that particular ink, I just labeled the little tag to this bottle stamp with the word pen. That way I know that ink is one that I'm using currently in a pen. And I did that because if you've been around and seen my other videos, I like to fill my pens with the color of like the body or the trim of the pen, and then I don't like to switch it. I like to keep the same color in the same pen. Now maybe as I get some more pens down the road that might change, but for now that's just been the system that I've adopted, and I want to keep that. So this was just my little note to myself. There is a duplicate of this one. I did swatch it twice, so if you see it again, that was my bad. But this is just another fine example of why I needed to do this, because I have inks and bottles that I've purchased that I wanted for pens that are also in my vial stand. And usually when I get the bottle, I combine the vial with the bottle, but because I got so many at one time, that just didn't happen, and so that's why I have the little duplicate. So the first one from my pen pal, who first introduced me to vial samples of fountain pen ink, is this gorgeous Legal Blue. I love that one. Then we have this lovely orange. This Black American Eel I've since learned is Noodler's, so I have ordered a pen to put this in, as well as a bottle of that ink. So when it arrives, I will go in and write the title or the brand of the ink with that pen. Then I just have a basic black. I'm not quite sure what brand that is. A red black. And this blue, I was able to figure out the brand of that ink, as well as this blue. I love this blue here. I think that it is a bright, bold color. And then continuing with my inks, These three and this one up here are from that pen pal that sent me the vial samples. And then this starts my personal collection. So the Lady Whistledown Black is a small little bottle of desk fountain pen ink that was in the Bridgerton box subscription for the book release that came out. And it was included as one of the little gifts that you would unwrap as you read the book. So that's actually something I'm not ever going to be able to get again once that bottle is used up. Then this dipped in ink is a beautiful one. And if you were here when I first started talking about my journey with fountain pens, you might remember originally I had filled my very first ever TWSBI Diamond with that ink. And luckily a viewer of my videos reached out in the comments and said, please don't put that in your pen. It's not meant for that. So thank you guys so much for educating me and being kind about it. I did not realize it was for dip pens only. So see, I'm learning all the time. But I love that color. I love how it has pinks and purples. The shimmer is beautiful. So whenever I want to get nostalgic, I will get that out with my dip pens and go to town writing one of my pen pals. And then continuing, here's my little duplicate swatch of Noodler's Hellfire. I originally purchased that ink, funny story, wanting to put it in one of my newer red pens. I thought maybe it might go well with my new Bennu Draco Dragon pen that my husband got me. But then when I swatched it and saw that it's like a neon pink, I was like, that's not going to go well. This is a newer one. This one I have done my pen swatching book with you guys on film. Same with this one. The Troublemaker. And if one of my pen pals is watching that I've discussed this particular pen with, the TWSBI Iris, you'll know what I'm talking about. This here is the ink that I was texting with you about, that I thought would make a good match with the TWSBI Diamond Iris. So that's what I filled it with. And then continuing, I have a couple more. Now this one here might appear like it's not a swatch, but that's because it is a phosphorescent ink, so it glows in the dark. And that's by Jacques Herbin. I love this Organics Studios Ralph Waldo Emerson. I originally had purchased that for one of my TWSBIs. However, I ended up liking the Birmingham Fighting Fish better. So this bottle is a kind of like a loose, unclaimed bottle in my collection, just waiting for a pen to go into. So maybe TWSBI will release another blue in the future, and that'll be a good match for it. We'll see. This ink here, the Jacques Herbin Turquoise de Perse, was introduced to me by a pen pal. He had written to me with this, and I loved it so much. He wrote to me on Tommy River paper, and it looked so good that I decided I was going to get some. And of course, I bought a pen specifically for it. And then moving on, we have some more. Some of these ones I have talked about on the channel, like this Toner Limbs. I believe I swatched with you guys. That's in my TWSBI Amazonite. And then I have the Birmingham Tesla Coil, which I really loved. And that one I swatched, I believe, next to the one I was just talking about, the Organics Ralph Waldo Emerson. And they looked very similar. And they both kind of have a red sheen to them. So those are two very similar inks. I love this Noodler's Firefly. That is actually in my yellow, my transparent yellow TWSBI. That's part of my TWSBI Rainbow. And then the Wearingeau Windy Darling is what I ended up putting in my original, very first ever TWSBI Diamond Iceberg, which, if you remember the Dipped in Ice Dance, I think it's just a lighter version. So that is what ended up going in it. And continuing on, all of these inks are in pens. I haven't talked about my other fountain pens besides TWSBI's too much on the channel, but maybe I will do a currently inked video and bring some of those on. This one in particular is in a Lamy pen. This was from a pen pal who, when I was writing to them, I only had ballpoint pens at that time, and I specifically liked the Pilot G2. That's what was like my go-to pen. But this pen pal said that it was a crime to write pen pal letters without a fountain pen. So she purchased me this bottle of ink and the, it's like a burgundy Lamy pen. So that's a nice one. Good memory. Here are some more. I do have a pen on the way for this one. I think it's very pretty. This one, me and my pen pal were just texting about. She actually gifted me this with a TWSBI, and she introduced me to the TWSBI world. I had wanted to buy some more, so I put 3 in a shopping cart because I absolutely love that ink. That's the Van Diemen's Here Kitty Kitty, and it had sold out by the time I had returned and was going to complete my purchase. So hopefully it comes back in stock soon. My friend did do some research and assured me that it is not a limited set, so hopefully I'll be able to get some more bottles of that soon. And then here are the remaining of my inks. So after I completed this project, I realized that I have more pens than what I was aware of. Now let's talk about these pens. Some of them I do need to swatch in my swatch book. So I will get that out here. And then let me turn to page 2. The last one that I swatched with you guys was the TWSBI Diamond and the Nickel Gray. So I'll update that. But then I was so excited. I bought myself the TWSBI Slate Blue and Onyx pen. And I was so excited when it arrived that I couldn't wait to film it. So I went ahead and I inked it up and swatched it by myself. So this is the new TWSBI Slate Blue Onyx. It is gorgeous. And the ink that I got for it is the Diamine Enchanted Forest. It does have shimmer. You can see it there. It's settled a little bit in the pen. And then I got this in a 1.1 nib. It's absolutely gorgeous. Writes very smoothly. Love this pen, and it looks beautiful with all my other blue TWSBIs. So that's that one. Hopefully you can see a little bit of that shimmer when I move the page back and forth. I know it's kind of hard to see. Maybe if I hold it up a little bit. Hope that catches on the camera. Okay, so the other ones that I believe I swatched with you is the TWSBI Clear, which has Birmingham Tesla Coil in it. That's this one. And I got that in an Eco T. And it is a M nib. Love that one. I don't know if I showed that on camera, inking it up or not. So there's that one. So then for TWSBIs, I'll swatch them and talk a little bit about them, and then I'll get into the other pens because they're not going to go into this swatch book. So the first one I want to talk about is this TWSBI Diamond Iris, and I had been eyeballing this ever since I saw another YouTuber journaling with it. And when I was talking to one of my pen pals, we had exchanged numbers and were texting back and forth. She said, don't get it. And at first I was like, why? I just explained to you why I want it and that I was going to get it. And she ended up getting it for me. So thank you so much, pen pal. I absolutely love it. It has been such a joy to write with. And I have spent, you'll know soon whenever the letter arrives that I just wrote to you, I've spent this past weekend and Friday writing to my pen pals. I had a stack of about 10 to 15 letters I needed to get to. So I got really comfortable with this pen, and I gotta say I love it. So let's go ahead and swatch this out. So this is the TWSBI Diamond Iris, and it is a broad nib. And I have in this one, that would be the Troublemaker ink. And it is called Abalone, which I think is a beautiful ink for this pen because it kind of couples nicely with the Iris hardware. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, friend. It's going to be one that I grab for a lot. Okay, and then my other new TWSBI is this gorgeous Caribbean diamond, TWSBI diamond. I got this one in a fine nib. So we're going to swatch this one. This is another one that I had wanted for a while, and I just couldn't decide if I wanted this one or if I wanted to get the, is it the Kyanite Vac? And then another pen pal had sent me a Vac pen, and I decided after having difficulty filling it that I didn't want to get the TWSBI Vac, so I went ahead and I got this one. And it's a fine nib. And in this pen I have, oh, that's that Jacques Herbin that my other pen pal wrote to me with and introduced me to. The Turquoise de Perse. Love it. Absolutely gorgeous. And like I had mentioned before when I got my very first TWSBI diamond, these have a tactile experience when you write with them, because at the top of the cap, if you can hear it, and here, it has threads like a screw or a bolt, and it's a very masculine feature in my opinion, but I don't mind it, and it doesn't bother me when I write. It's just, it's something that's different and sets them apart, but I absolutely love that. Love that color. Gorgeous. Okay, so those are my new TWSBIs. And this one was a gift, so I'll put it over here. Now, these two pens are a little bit fancy for me. I've never had a pen quite so luxurious. And these were both gifted to me by a pen pal. Thank you so much. I never ever expected you to do this, but I love that you did because I have greatly been enjoying these two pens. Now, this pen is a Leonardo Memento Zero, and I was not familiar with this pen type until this particular friend talked to me about her interest in them. And so I looked it up while we were chatting, and I saw all the beautiful colors that they had, and she was like, well, which one do you like if you had to choose? And originally I picked a completely different one, but then I was like, I saw this one, this is the Pura Vida, and I said, hold on, I take it back, this one is gorgeous. And then to my surprise, a few days later, she gifted this to me. And I was completely blown away when it arrived because I had, you know, completely surprised. It's gorgeous. I love it. I love that it's 3 different colors. The cap is very smooth coming on and off. I love the nib. It is very comfortable to hold. It was a little bit challenging for me to fill. And basically what I ended up doing to get a good fill on it, now it's not going to look like it's filled very well right now because I have been writing with it, but basically what I had to do to get a good fill on it like that is I had to go very slow when I was screwing the piston to get it to draw up into it. Normally with my TWSBIs, I just, you know, go to town. You guys have seen me and it feels just fine. But this particular pen, perhaps because it's luxury, needed a little bit more delicate touch. and it works beautifully. Now in that pen, let me get my little note sheet here. In that pen, I have Ferris Wheel Press 3 Steamboats. Now that was another bottle that I had that was kind of free floating in my collection. It hadn't had a pen assigned to it. And then I decided, after going through these colors, I wanted to use the blue. And so that's why I chose that one. I do have a nice green that would have matched. It's the Appletini, but that is in one of my TWSBIs for my TWSBI Rainbow. So, and I do have an orange that would have matched nicely, but again, that's in one of my TWSBIs for my TWSBI Rainbow, so I stuck with the blue. Very, very pleased with that pen. Now this pen, again, was a surprise. I come home from running errands and there's a box at the stoop. And another pen pal, same pen pal, gifted me this pen as well. Again, it's another luxury type pen, more so than what I'm used to. And it took me a little while to figure out how to fill it. But once I got into the pen, you know, mechanics, I figured out how to get it going. And so this is an F nib, fine nib. And what I love about this pen is it's a longer body. So if anybody's been on the channel for a while, you can tell I have large hands. This pen fits very nicely in my grip web. So it is very comfortable for me to write with. And I say this because my pen pal and I were having a discussion about my preferences for pens. And one of my other friends wrote to me, he was asking me, like when we first started writing, what my pen preferences were. And I was still so new in the fountain pen world, I didn't even know that that was a thing, like that it mattered. But as I'm getting more familiar with the pens that my friends are gifting to me and introducing me to, I am realizing that there are little things about each one that make the writing experience better or worse than another. And so for this pen, the length of the body definitely feels more comfortable in my larger hand. The only thing that I don't necessarily love about this pen is this kind of swell on the grip. That hurts my finger when I'm writing if I write for a long time. And then also I think because this body is more narrow, I have to close my hand, my big bear claw hand, tighter to grip the pen, which exhausts my wrist quicker. So I like a longer pen with a thicker body because it's more comfortable and less stressful on my wrist and hand. But you can see I have quite a swell on my knuckle from the pens where they rest. I don't know if it's showing up. So this little swell on the grip irritates that and it can get painful. But otherwise, I absolutely love this pen. And in this one, I have that Birmingham Fighting Fish ink. Gorgeous. I love also how this is not a screw cap. And it kind of has some type of a magnetic mechanism feel to it because it snaps on. I love that. And then I also like the clip on this one because it expands away from the body and lifts at the top, which is just, it's an aesthetic thing for me, but I like it. So thank you again, Pen Pal, for that pen. I am loving it, and I'm definitely reaching for that quite often when I write my letters. Now, some of my pen pals have written to me about Sailor pens, and I do not own a Sailor fountain pen. I understand that some of them are pretty limited, that there's a big following for them, that they're quite desirable. But again, like these pens, it's a little bit more than what I'm willing to pay on a fountain pen. I haven't quite caught the fountain pen bug where all of that stuff matters a lot to me, like gold nibs and things. For me, I'm still kind of in the introductory level of fountain pens, and where if it has ink in it and it writes, I'm happy with it. So my pen pals who wrote to me about Sailors told me that this Jinhao is a dupe, or kind of like as similar as you can get to a Sailor type pen. So this is a Jinhao 82, and I'm probably not saying that right. Please forgive me. But I got this. It was very affordable, and I have been writing with it. And this pen helped me realize that I don't like shorter pens. So you can see this one is much shorter in my grip web. It's not as comfortable for me to write with, and again, it has a slimmer body to it, so I really have to close my fist around it to write, which is uncomfortable to me, but it writes incredibly smoothly. I mean, this pen actually writes smoother than some of my TWSBIs. So in that sense, I really like it, but it has a little bit of sparkle in it, and I think it's called Peacock Blue. And then the nib size that I got on this is a fine nib. Hopefully that shows up. Again with a screw cap. So I like that one. So these ones here were gifts. These are my purchases. And then this is one that I bought. This is a Kakuno. It's a part of a limited color series. And it's actually Drowsy Light Blue is the name of this color. And I got this one from Yoseka. These other ones are from, or Goulet pen, sorry. And I got an M nib for that one. Now the ink that I have in this one is the Diamine Enchanted Ocean. But those are my fountain pens. Those are my inks. This pink one I talked about in a previous video. That is from my pen friend who has very generously gifted me 2 Kakuno pens and who originally introduced me to them. And I am sorry if you like to see me do the initial swatching and inking of them, but I just loved these so much. But those are my new pens. Those are my inks. Thank you so much, pen pals and friends, for your generosity, your patience, and teaching me as I continue to learn about fountain pens, nibs, different features about their body and their grips, the lengths, my preferences. Thank you for telling me all about the different websites to see what inks might be potential replacements for ones that are potentially limited or sold out. And it has been an amazing journey and ride with all of you, and I am so grateful for your kindness and patience. But I hope that you've all enjoyed this little catch up on my swatch books and my latest pens, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys!